Page 2310. Scripture, Hebrews 9:1, 8:10. I will write my laws in their heart. They will want to obey me. Healing the shame that binds you. Page 38. Shame-based marriage and parental role. Major source of toxic shame from family system. Multi-generational pattern of secrets. Families created by shame-based people who marry each other, expecting to be taken care of, parent the child within us. Each is incomplete, insatiable, rooted in unmet childhood needs. In love is a natural state of fusion. Incomplete children fuse as in symbolic stage of infancy. In love is always erotic, oceanic, without boundaries. In love is as powerful as a narcotic. Walgreens film. Making myths. Scripture. Proverbs 4:24. Put away perversity from your mouth. Keep your foot from evil. 12 steps are ego deflating. Slightly limiting food feels like starvation. Compulsion to eat subsides with self-discipline. Write down your feelings. Resist the urge 20 minutes in the midst of turmoil. Be able to move out of humiliation or shortcomings. Hazelden, humility versus humiliation. Be humble enough to learn new attitude, ways of eating and acting. Humility means teachable. Don't have to feel inferior, not alone in defects of character. Relationships, non-recurring lump sums, income, how it affects you. Picture of a question, December 31st, 1976, technical name, adjusted taxable gifts. Bow and arrow, scripture, Proverbs 4:1, fathers, instructions, pay attention, gain understanding, or wisdom will protect you. A card, hang in there. Page 2311. Scripture, Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom is supreme. Above all else, guard your heart. Defects of character, be willing to change. Abstinence, happy. 1913, heavy progressive income tax enacted. 1913, Federal Reserve Act debauching our elastic currency policies. Commissioner of the IRS stated in paragraph 2, you are among millions of Americans who comply with the law voluntarily. Black's Law Dictionary defines voluntarily to comply, to accept. Why are files audited when they all voluntarily comply? IRS Commissioner knows millions comply voluntarily, unknowingly. I just added that part. U.S. Supreme Court, our tax system is based upon voluntary assessment and payment, not distrust. Page 3 of the 1992 4 and 1040 instructions books. IRS knows we cannot be forced to obey a law which does not apply to natural persons. Voluntary compliance system. Purpose of income tax not to finance operation of government. 137 years, Congress did admirable job of operating on a balanced budget. Chief purpose of income tax is to enrich the Fed for using their charge for currency. Canceled checks to the IRS are stamped "Pay to any Federal Reserve Bank" for debts incurred by the U.S. government. Due process of law, seizing with garnishments, liens. Americans are intimidated into waiving constitutional rights. Cooperative taxpayer faces worse than a person who relies on constitutional rights. 1969 judge. IRS and Congress have created a multi-billion-dollar tax compliance growth industry. Multi-trade of individuals, tide of individuals' livelihood depends on trust of individuals' livelihood depends on how invested interest in seeing it to your voluntary compliance. Churches in America are corporations formed by the state. Churches operate under a license giving them tax exempt. Churches have rights guaranteed in the First Amendment, free speech. Corporations is an unnatural person. It has no constitutionally protected rights. Live in a bigger home. Page 2312. A picture of a nurse and a patient in bed. Switching to drama. I Am. Flexible hours, higher pay draws nurses to work for agencies. Leader of largest civilian union backs the plan. Enhanced benefits, God. Picture of obituaries. Picture of a Fire Ridge ad. Of his women, just show up. Farmland, bench privilege. Catholic reform stirring backlash, voice of the faithful. Unions are mostly coal to wage freeze postponed by. Political science called conspiracy theory, been popularized by universities, thought of as paranoid wackos. Federal Reserve charge interest on created debt, money. Loan payments to banks reduce money supply, money removed from the circulation when debt is repaid. Keep the money from shrinking, more borrowing is needed. Mathematically impossible to pay off the debt, principal plus usury interest. Escalated rate forces borrowers into bankruptcy. Page 2313. Shows sensitivity when helping senior parent sell family home. Gambling, repossession, elimination sale. Pictures of food, a truck. Picture of a boy's arm. Picture of farmland, hand label, family. Newspaper ads. Reduction. No such thing as a free lunch, but try a free dinner. Karl Marx understood how disastrous democratic government system is. Cannot long survive. People learn they have a voice and move to vote for themselves. Hopeless position. Intelligent persons can investigate. Present civilization may collapse unless defects remanded. Buddies, O mortal man, is there anything you cannot be made to believe? Founder of Illuminati. He who knows nothing is nearer the truth than he whose mind is filled with falsehoods and errors. Constitutional common law, 10 Commandments, exam. Music, Christian. Academic Center, Council Bluffs, Iowa. Page 2314. Scripture, Isaiah 9:6. For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. The untold story, a problem. The Way, Bible cover, picture of a girl, picture of a field. It's a mad, mad, mad weekend, giving back most rewarding things you do. Page 2315. The Living Bible, That Will Last. A cartoon, English channel without a remote control. Survivors of the 70s. You deserve special treatment. DirecTV. After Dark Party Dresses. Summary of the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. 1933. Franklin Delano Roosevelt created the Emergency Powers Act of 1933, abolished private property. Private property when we have to get permission from government to do something with it. Hang progressive income tax, abolished inheritance rights and taxed. Confiscate property, central bank, Federal Reserve. Government-controlled communication, transportation, agriculture, factories, labor, education, communist planks. Federal Reserve System Act, central banking in the United States. Picture, page 2316. Picture of the American Cancer Society flag. Emblem, picture of the Texas flag. Have a fine time. The House Special, Cancer, and AM. Fly in. Page 2317. Cartoon, 2 camels working out. Maggie. Say goodbye to Say Hello Capital Weekend. Challenge for artists getting personal and spiritual. Reupholstering. Free returns. Next Sunday, Sacramento Ring. James picks unlimited surveillance. Staff asks tough questions. Compact between 2 and more parties. America has a long been place to seek refuge. Rick says he's ready to go for a spare. Stuff asks tough questions. It's irresistible. Sleep drug patients now alert. Maggie cared for her people. Scene, King, nurse, and a whole lot of stickin'. You earned the title, reap the rewards. Executory contract. Courts to review state legislation, limitations, judicial decisions that threaten to infringe on constitutional grants. 13 cases where estate laws were contrary to constitutional principles set aside in a decision. Page 2318. Securities asset, instrument of government, debt and asset, assumes government will pay. Government pays because of its ability to obtain money needed through taxation. Federal Reserve has asset that can be used to offset a liability. Fed creates this liability by adding ink to another piece of paper, exchanges with government. Federal Reserve check, a piece of paper. There is no money on any account to cover this check. Anyone else would be sent to prison. Fed can do it because Congress wants the money. Raising taxes would be suicide. Depending on the public to buy all the bonds, not realistic. Interest rates set artificially low. Printing large quantities of currency, obvious, controversial. Process, mysteriously wrapped up in the banking system, Federal Reserve checks. Fiat money, created by the order of a government with no value, backing it to pay a government expenses. Accounting terms books balance because the asset, IOU, covers the liability of the money, the Federal Reserve check. Federal Reserve check is received by government, endorsed, and deposited into government account. The psychology of spending. Games go highbrow. You want freedom. Picture of a desk spindle and notes. Picture of a mountain forest. Page 2319. Picture of mountain waterfalls. Domestic agenda aimed at Democrats. Investigates the smoke backers say, a gift from the heart, inspired, touched, and be touched living. Expose the truth. Tape 4, writing the Declaration of Interdependence. Everybody had to depend on everybody else. Interdependence means if I want to deal with you, I have to go through the government. They get a piece of the action between me and you. Government, a hub of an interdependent society, allows them to control all goods and services. Allows government to get a piece of the action of every movement nationwide. Maintenance of the government as imperative as any human endeavor created the United Interdependence. Benjamin Franklin come out of the Constitutional Convention saying, we have given you a republic if you can keep it. We were never given a democratic form of government. We were given a constitutional, republican form of government. Keith Anderson, tape 4. Page 2320. Tax incentives changed, looking to stay. Gets his due. The realities of war, looking into bounce back. Developers propose honey, our energy predicament. Choose international. Arthritis patients, doctors consider alternatives to Vioxx. Trouble in paradise, business and family thrive in the country. Picture of a lion. Picture of a clue game, clues. We bullishes the future. A big headache beginning to roar again for smaller firms. Highly motivated. Get excited. Page 2321. Picture of mom and a baby. Picture of a raccoon. Some see a huge home. We see a larger life. Mom, a hero. No fencing off the post. Okay, you can really sink your teeth into. Family needs to rest. Weather helps ease cost of. Sun, sandy beach. Beckon developers optimistic. Duo put some dough into bakery. Rise to the occasion. Cuddle up to a homemade drink this holiday. Tampa Bay wraps up Vic. For now, 9 ranchers riding high on an ad. Page 2322. First Bank of the United States, 1791. Secretary of the Treasurer convinced Congress the financial needs credit of new government require funding the national debt, created a bank. Chartered by Congress, modeled after the Bank of England, partly owned by the foreigners who share the profits. First Bank, not responsible for county's money supply, its share only 20%. Jefferson, Madison saw bank as an engine for speculation, manipulation, and corruption. Congress referred to the extent its charter in 1811. Madison's government had a hard time financing war of 1812. 5 years later, the first bank closed. Second Bank of the United States was chartered. 1828, President Andrew Jackson denounced it was an engine of corruption that benefited its enemies. Jackson's destruction of the bank was a major political issue in 1930s, shaped a second-party system. Democrats opposed banks. Federal Reserve Act was a governmental, but the Federal Reserve System is private. Officially created private banking system. Gold exchange is a digital gold currency founded in 2006, incorporated in Costa Rica. Gold exchange claims all purchases are 100% backed with actual gold held in trust. Page 2323. Gold in excess of 9.5 tons is in the reserve, worth $184 million in 2007. Picture of a mountain scene. Appendix from the Department of Commerce. Community Economic Development. Trust companies, 2 more affiliate banks. Bank means an organization organized by U.S. Comptroller of the currency to accept deposits and make loans. Page 2324. Picture of red rocks, mountains, precision, defying intense. Compass. Page 2325. As golfers seek relief. Revolution for mature absolute premium visibility requirements. He wants us to comprehend it well enough to put, if Americans ever allow private banks to control money, inflation, deflation, banks will deprive people of their property. Banks will deprive children to wake up homeless. Thomas Jefferson. Mandrake mechanism, method the federal creates money out of nothing, usury as interest payment in pretend loans. Hidden cause of tax called inflation, the Fed creating a boom-bust cycle. First foundational aspect for the article, Section 10 of the Constitution. No state shall enter any treaty, coin money, gold and silver as payment for debt. 1907, book by Advocate of Central Banking in America. 1913, founding of the United States Federal Reserve. Warburg appointed the board by Woodrow Wilson, also on the courts on foreign relations. Federal government adds ink to paper and calls it a bond, a treasury note. Promise to pay becomes foundation for almost entire nation's money supply. Picture of mountains and lakes. Page 2326. High price. Obsession works. Most important decisions start with the most important people. Amazing investigations of controversial intelligence. Picture of a lakeside in the fall. Page 2327. Article the 6th Federal Reserve Powers establishes the Constitution, laws, treaties, and the supreme law of the land. Judges in every state shall be bound by the Constitution. National debt created under Articles of Confederation requires oaths be taken by the legislatures, offices, judges supporting the Constitution. State laws should not conflict with the Constitution. Article 6 also states no religious test should ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust. Session of tricky business. Purpose, provide model for codifying the law on trusts. Numerous uniform acts related to trusts. Uniform Prudent Investor Act, Uniform Trustees Power Act. States which enact can specify their rules on trusts with precision. States will provide readily available source for determining their laws on trusts. Origin, completed in 2000, amended in 2001 and 2003, provided by the American Bar Association, ABA Real Property, Probate, Trust, Law, and ARP. State adaptations, 19 on the list. Nebraska is, Iowa is not in 2010. 23 on the internet, 8/14/23. New Arizona, Kentucky, Maryland, Massachusetts, Maine, Minnesota, Mississippi, Montana, New Jersey, North Dakota, 2016 list. Purpose for which a trust may be created, a real property. Transfers, trust contracts. Party tactics, Exhibit A. People are talking about. Making a difference. Nights to get reinforcements, cut. Picture of plants. Page 23, 28. Jesus bow tie. Advocate, are you a gate? It's all free. 2002 legislative sessions. List of states. Date to convene and adjourn. Upcoming gubernatorial elections. 36 states in 2002. Page 23, 29. Take the hurdles out of your home. Payments for good. Excess stair glide. Stairway lift. Push button ease. Picture of a chair with wings. Governor's elections 2002. Precision plumbing. You have a lifetime of wonderful memories. Filing taxes becomes more complex. Chore. Number of states audits dropping. With this good book, Mother's Day. Picture of a suit pointing at you. Military extra. Thrifty nickel ads. For our senior drive, call Congress. I need you. Dancers. Calendar pages. Coalition advocate. 1963 Beatles song. Laughter after cake. Page 22, 30. Liberty of contract. 14th Amendment protects liberty, includes liberty to make a contract. 11/20/2006 Political change and legal development. Liberty guaranteed by the Due Process Clause has been variously defined by court. Demise of the liberty of contract brought broadening of liberty. Liberty includes personal, political, social rights, and privileges. Court is charged reluctant of expanding the concept of absent statutory rights. Regulatory labor laws, liberty of contract concept advanced by judges in stated cases. Restraint on federal and state power. Freedom of contract also alluded to as a prospect, property right, personal right, right to make contracts, personal employment contracts, labor, services exchanged for money or other forms of property. Right to contract labor struck down would impair liberty. Relation of employer-employee legislature has a wide field of discretion. Ameliorate, make better, more tolerable. Introspective, improve. Section 1, rights guaranteed, due process of law. Development of substantive due process. No one to trust. Beat, tire, nothing. Page 23, 31. 7 steps into bondage. 12 strong men. Steps: regression, repression, suppression, depression, oppression, obsession, and possession. Strong men: spirits of jealousy, lying, familiar, perverse, whoredom, hearing, deaf-mute, fear, bondage, Antichrist. The making of a classic. Scripture, Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, to prosper and not to harm. You will seek me and find me when you seek me. Look, picture of a bird. Court ventured the 14th Amendment operates to extend same protections of life, liberty, and property as the 5th Amendment. Lonergan Library. Common law. Some agreements were unenforceable. Common law guarantees a person the right to enter into all contracts, prosper, necessary, essential to any lawful activity. Commission laws, principle of liberty of contract, endorsed by the U.S. Supreme Court in the late 19th century. Court grafted into the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Broad implications of the liberty of contract enjoyed short life. 1940s. U.S. Supreme Court disavowed any constitutional preference for a free economic marketplace. Congress and the 50th state legislatures placed more limitations on the right to contract and terms of contract. Disavow, refuge, to accept, repudiate, reject, recline.